Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're focusing on the American Society of Civil Engineers, ASCE.
Right. Kind of the main organization for civil engineers, you could say.
Exactly. Started way back 1852, I think. And now, well, as of this year, they've got over 160,000 members.
Wow. Across 177 countries. That's quite a reach.
It really is. And what's interesting is how broad they are. They cover, well, pretty much all aspects of civil engineering.
Which gives them maybe a more comprehensive view compared to groups focused on just one specific area.
That's the idea. So our mission for this deep dive is to really get into ASCE's view on sustainability. How do they define it? How does it play out in their ethics?
Sounds good. Because an organization that big, well, their stance on sustainability really matters. It's going to influence a lot of people.
Okay, so let's start with their definition. How does ASCE actually define sustainability?
Well, they put it like this: a set of environmental, economic, and social conditions
Okay.
in which all of society has the capacity and opportunity to maintain and improve its quality of life indefinitely,
Indefinitely. That's a key word.
without degrading the quantity, quality, or availability of natural, economic, and social resources.
That's quite a statement. Packs a lot in.
It really does. And you see right away the explicit mention of the three pillars.
Environmental, economic, social, yeah.
They hit those points multiple times in their framework. It's clearly central.
And it tracks with how, global bodies like the UN talk about it too.
Definitely. There's a clear alignment there. It makes you wonder, though, how easy it is to actually balance those three in every single project.
That's the challenge, isn't it? I also noticed the phrasing maintain and improve.
Yeah, it's not just about keeping things as they are. It's proactive.
Right. And that indefinitely part brings in the timeline thinking long-term, future generations. Again, very UN-like.
Exactly. You can really see the influence of that broader global sustainability conversation.
So this definition isn't just words on paper. It actually feeds into their professional standards.
Absolutely. It connects directly to the ASCE Code of Ethics.
Ugh, the code. That's been around a while, hasn't it? Since 1914.
That's right. And updated over the years, of course. It's meant to be the guide for how civil engineers should act.
And it reflects the sustainability thinking.
Correctly. It references those same three pillars: economic, environmental, social, and that same idea of considering the present and the future.
So where does it show up most clearly in the code?
Well, look at their fundamental principles. The very first one.
Okay.
It says, create a safe, resilient, and sustainable infrastructure. Boom. Right at the start.
Wow. So safety, resilience, sustainability all grouped together as principle number one.
Exactly. Sets the stage immediately. Safety clearly links to the social pillar, public well-being.
And resilience, that often ties into environmental factors, right? Like climate change adaptation.
Often, yes. So they're weaving these core concepts together from the outset. It's not an add-on, it's fundamental to the job.
It really makes you think about the balancing act in practice. Budgets, deadlines versus these core principles.
It's a constant tension, I imagine.
Yeah.
And this ethical commitment also extends to how they view their responsibilities to different groups, what they call their 5 groups of stakeholders.
Okay, like who?
Well, first is society.
Makes sense. Civil engineering serves the public.
Precisely. So here, the focus is very much on that social pillar, protecting public health, safety, welfare. It's about the people using the infrastructure,
Got it. What's next?
the natural and built environment. And this is where you see that balancing act really explicitly stated.
Oh, so?
The code talks directly about considering and balancing societal, environmental, and economic impacts when working with the environment.
So all 3 pillars are right there for that stakeholder group, recognizing the connection between what we build and the natural world.
Exactly. Then you have the profession itself.
So engineers as stakeholders, is sustainability mentioned there?
Not explicitly, no. The
Sure.
focus is more on competence, integrity, that sort of thing. You could argue there are indirect societal benefits, maybe?
Yeah, I see what you mean. A competent ethical profession probably supports sustainability in the long run. What about clients and employers?
Similar situation. Themes of honest service, avoiding conflicts of interest, touches on social responsibility, but not the full environmental or economic sustainability pictured directly.
Okay. And the last group?
Peers.
Okay.
So how engineers treat each other.
And here?
Here, there's a strong emphasis on social aspects. Again, things like inclusive, equitable treatment, ethical conduct among colleagues.
Interesting. So sustainability isn't just about the final bridge or building, it's also about how the professionals involved conduct themselves.
That seems to be the message.
Hmm.
It's embedded in the culture they want to foster.
Okay, so we have the definition, we have the Code of Ethics. But ASCE didn't stop there, did they? They developed a roadmap.
That's right, a 5-year roadmap. This came about largely in response to the UN's 2030 agenda.
Ah, the Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs.
Exactly, those 17 goals. You probably remember them from Handout 5 and Lecture 1, tackling poverty, climate, inequality, all those interconnected issues. ACSE saw a clear role for civil engineering in helping achieve those.
So what were the big aims of this roadmap?
Broadly, it was about boosting the value, societal, environmental, and economic value of the projects engineers deliver,
Okay.
and also about getting proactive on the big challenges.
Climate change, urbanization, new technologies popping up all the time.
Ambitious goals. How did they plan to actually do that? What were the steps?
They laid out 4 priorities for change. The first one is sustainable project development,
Which they call
doing the right project.
doing the right project. Okay, what does that mean practically?
It means rethinking how projects are even conceived, moving beyond just the standard engineering approaches.
So, questioning the fundamentals. Kind of. Shifting away from decisions driven mainly by cost, the economic pillar, towards a more, well, holistic view that builds in environmental impacts and social benefits right from the very start. Asking if we should build it, and how, in the most sustainable way.
I see. Thinking bigger picture at the outset. What's priority number 2?
Standards and protocols. Or, as they put it, doing the project right.
Okay, so first choose the right project, then do it right. Makes sense.
Yeah. And historically, engineering relies heavily on prescriptive standards. Very specific rules, materials, dimensions.
Like follow the recipe engineering.
Pretty much. The roadmap pushes for a move towards performance-based systems.
Performance-based, how's that different?
So instead of saying use this exact type of concrete, it might say the structure needs to withstand X level of load for Y number of years under Z conditions.
Ah, so it focuses on the outcome, the performance, rather than dictating the exact method.
Exactly. It gives engineers more flexibility to innovate and find the best solution to meet the performance goal, hopefully leading to more durable, resilient, and maybe even less resource-intensive designs, avoiding failures down the line.
That sounds like a significant shift. What's the third priority?
That one's expanding technical capacity. This is all about the people, the engineers themselves.
Training and development.
Yep. Investing in the profession, making sure engineers have the skills and knowledge to actually use these new sustainable approaches and technologies. It's not enough to just talk about new ideas.
You need people comfortable and capable of implementing them.
Precisely. Bridging that gap between the new standard or idea and making it happen on the ground.
Okay, makes sense. And the fourth priority?
Communication and advocacy, or making the case.
Making the case for sustainability.
Yeah. Part of this is developing better tools, ways to actually measure or quantify the benefits of doing things sustainably, showing the value.
So you can demonstrate it's not just a nice idea, it actually pays off.
Right. But it's also about advocating for it within the profession, maybe convincing engineers who aren't fully on board yet.
And reaching beyond just engineers, too.
Absolutely. Engaging with all the stakeholders, the public, government, private investors, everyone involved in infrastructure needs to understand why sustainability matters.
So pulling back to the big picture then, what does all this tell us about civil engineering's role in sustainability?
I mean, the potential impact is just enormous, isn't it? Think about all the infrastructure being built or upgraded around the world.
Roads, bridges, water systems, energy. It's foundational.
Exactly. And connecting that to the urgency of the UN goals, civil engineering is right at the heart of it. ASCE is basically saying, look, this is core to what we do, and we need to lead on this.
It's a statement of responsibility.
An opportunity. It comes back to that fundamental purpose, serving society, but doing it in a way that also protects the environment and considers long-term well-being for everyone.
So wrapping this up, ASCE really seems to have built a comprehensive approach here.
I think so. It starts with that quite detailed definition, the 3 pillars, the future focus.
Then that gets woven right into their code of ethics, making it a professional obligation.
And they don't just leave it there. They've got the roadmap, the priorities for change concrete steps to move the profession forward.
It shows a real commitment, moving beyond just talk towards action.
Definitely. And it highlights just how crucial civil engineers are in, well, literally building a more sustainable future. It's about the projects, yes, but also the ethics and the ongoing drive to improve.
This has been a really fascinating look at how one major profession is grappling with sustainability. It underlines the power engineers have to shape our world.
It certainly does.
And maybe that leaves us with something to think about. Consider how these principles, ASCE is pushing that focus on balancing economic, environmental, and social needs. That long-term view, the ethical foundation, how might those ideas apply beyond civil engineering? Could they offer a useful lens for other fields, or even for you in your own choices, thinking about the ripple effects on society and the planet down the road? Just some food for thought. Thanks for joining us on the deep dive.